It is highly recommended you watch the original Neon Genesis Evangelion television series, the End of Evangelion movie, and the Rebuild movies before watching this video. Elsewise, this video will disclose major spoilers. Evangelion is intentionally terse with its exposition for dramatic effect. Your enjoyment of Evangelion will be commensurate with your willingness to understand it. In other words, Evangelion is a series with depth and is enjoyed most when treated as such. Neon Genesis Evangelion is an anime created and directed by Hideaki Anno. It aired on TV Tokyo from fall 1995 to spring 1996. It is not based on any pre-existing manga. On the surface, Evangelion is a show set in 2015 about giant alien-like beings called angels that aim to destroy Tokyo 3. An organization called NERV has developed giant mechas called Evas to ostensibly defend Tokyo 3 and fight the angels. The Evas are piloted by 14-year-olds including Rei Ayanami, Shinji Ikari, and Asuka Langley Soryu. NERV is directed by Gendo Ikari, Shinji Ikari's father, and Gendo's second-in-command is Kozo Fuyutsuki, his former university advisor. NERV ostensibly reports to the UN, which is the principal worldwide governing body now. However, the UN is a front for another organization called Selle, which Gendo reports to directly. Selle in German means soul. NERV's director of operations is Misato Katsuragi, its head scientist is Ritsuko Akagi, and NERV also employs a special agent named Ryoji Kaji. Kaji, in fact, is a spy and works for NERV, Selle, and the Japanese Department of Interior simultaneously. NERV primarily employs Kaji to retrieve a sample of the first angel Adam from Selle's possession and bring it to Gendo. Selle employs Kaji to monitor Gendo as NERV's director, and the Japanese government employs Kaji to investigate NERV's operations. Kaji is loyal to none of his employees and pits their motives against each other to advance his own agenda. Kaji is ultimately loyal to Misato and reveals to her NERV and Selle's true goals. Misato, Ritsuko, and Kaji all met each other at university and formed close bonds. Misato and Kaji used to be lovers, but Misato called the relationship off. Kaji may have never gotten over this breakup. He ultimately risks and loses his life for Misato. NERV and Selle's true goals are to trigger mutually exclusive versions of the Human Instrumentality Project via the Third Impact, hence their distrust and employment of Kaji. The Human Instrumentality Project is a plan to assume divinity, immortality, in a form as powerful, if not more so, than Eva Unit 1 after it consumes an S2 engine. Through this project, Selle exclusively seeks to become as God at the expense of the rest of humanity's physical extinction, collective annihilation of individual ego, and unification of souls into a single chamber. NERV also seeks to trigger the Human Instrumentality Project, but its version seems to benefit only its director Gendo Ikari. Gendo has in fact manipulated NERV's operations to fulfill his goal of obtaining divinity exclusively for himself, at the same cost to humanity as Selle's version, but does so as a means to create an envisioned reality where his deceased wife Yui exists alongside him, likely both with separate immortal physical forms. Only Ritsuko and Fuyutsuki know of Gendo's true goals and both aid Gendo at the start. However, Ritsuko eventually betrays Gendo upon realizing her insignificance to him and attempts to stop the project only for herself to be betrayed. Fuyutsuki was also Yui's former university advisor, was fond of her, and seems to be working to secure her happiness. Be that as it may, result in reunification with Gendo, humanity's physical extinction, and his own demise. The Human Instrumentality Project will be explored after review of the Third Impact. The Third Impact marks the third and final stage of human evolution where humanity reverts to its original form and reaches its terminus on Earth. It is triggered when a being with the potential to achieve godhood makes contact with a complementary power source, allowing such and all the ancillary consequences that follow. Evangelion draws heavily from Jewish eschatology, i.e. a branch of Jewish theological beliefs describing the end of the world, and the Third Impact, i.e. the end of the world, acts as the series' climax. To state the obvious, a third impact implies two preceding impacts. Understanding the third impact requires understanding the preceding impacts and the involved parties. The first ancestral race, Adam, Lilith, angels, and humans. The first ancestral race were the first extraterrestrial intelligence. They created the angels, humans, and others, and may be considered gods by the creations. The Far fabricated carriers, known as moons, to house seeds or progenitor entities that would be placed inside them and sent into space to spread life throughout the universe. The Far created two types of seeds, Adam and Lilith. Adam is the progenitor entity to the angels. Adam and each of its progeny contain the fruit of life, also known as an S2 engine, which grants abilities such as self-regeneration and metamorphosis, and is an inexhaustible energy supply, i.e. immortality. Adam was placed in the white moon. Lilith is the progenitor entity of life forms on Earth, including humans. Lilith and each of its progeny contain the fruit of knowledge, which grants abilities such as cognition, heightened personal autonomy, and the capability to develop technology. Lilith was placed in the black moon. Adam and its progeny lack the fruit of knowledge as evidenced by the angel's lack of tools, and Lilith and its progeny lack the fruit of life as evidenced by the phenomenon of death. The Far intended that moons containing different seeds could not land on the same planet and develop mechanisms to maintain separation were this to happen. It is unclear why the Far intended to keep both fruits separate, but a theory exists that the Far themselves possess both fruit and have the power of gods. If other beings were to obtain both fruits and likely result in power, their supremacy as gods would be challenged. Thus, beings containing only one fruit are allowed to exist on each planet and are to never meet according to the Far's designs. Each moon containing a seed is paired with a spear that acts as a security device to maintain separation with different seeds and prevent any progenitor entity from achieving godhood. This spear is a type of lifeform itself, has a will, and can change form. Its full capabilities are not disclosed. When activated, the spear has the ability to place a progenitor entity and its progeny into suspended animation if such does not act according to the Far's design, i.e. make contact with a different fruit. The spear that accompanied Adam is called the Spear of Longinus and also has the power to pierce AT fields, destroy S2 engines, and destroy the beings that possess them. According to tradition, this spear pierced Jesus' side as he hung on the cross, accelerated his death, and was named after the Roman soldier who used it. The spear that accompanied Lilith is called the Spear of Cassius and was either broken or rendered missing when Lilith landed on Earth in her moon. This spear has similar properties to the Spear of Longinus in that it has the power to pierce AT fields, destroy the fruit of knowledge and beings that possess it, and is a means to prevent Lilith from achieving godhood. According to tradition, Cassius is another name for the soldier Longinus. An understanding of the nature of Adam, Lilith, angels, and humans helps clarify how each impact occurs. Adam, Lilith, angels, and humans all share a genetic code with over 99% similarity, and each of these beings has a metaphysical component termed a soul. Souls reside within physical bodies, existed before such bodies were created, and continue to exist after such die. Throughout Evangelion, there is a reference to the doors of Gulf. Gulf is a Hebrew word meaning body. In Jewish mysticism, the Tree of Life, also known as the Tree of Souls, creates souls that fall into the Chamber of Gulf. According to the same belief, when the last soul falls from the Tree of Life, the world will come to an end. Adam and the White Moon act as the Chamber of Gulf for itself and the souls of angels, just as Lilith and the Black Moon act as the Chamber of Gulf for itself and the souls of humans. Before either can create progeny on any given planet, Adam and Lilith must release their respective doors of Gulf to allow souls to roam said planet and eventually take form upon the creation of each soul's physical body. After all souls are released, the doors of Gulf close and do not remain open until the end of the world, when all the souls are gathered back into the Chamber of Gulf. Adam, Lilith, angels, and humans cannot create new souls. Hence the doors need only be opened and closed once before the end of the world. It seems, once souls are released and the initial steps to propagate life are complete, Adam and Lilith assume passive roles, perhaps remaining in their respective moons and do not interact with their progeny. It also seems Adam and Lilith do not seek each other if both reside on the same planet. Along with having souls, Adam, Lilith, angels, and humans have AT fields, abbreviated from Absolute Terror. An AT field is a mental barrier that separates one person from another. Angels, as opposed to humans, have AT fields powerful enough to manifest physically. Through AT fields, Adam, Lilith, angels, and humans maintain individuality and disconnect that also enables existential awareness through perceiving others. In the beginning, Adam arrived on Earth before Eve in the White Moon. The White Moon eventually settled in Antarctica. Upon arrival, Adam created at least 14 angels. Afterwards, Theia, a large asteroid carrying the Black Moon, containing Lilith, struck Earth and deposited the Black Moon. Theia's impact with Earth may have destroyed Lilith's Spear of Cassius, Regardless, Lilith's corresponding sphere is non-functioning. The Black Moon eventually settled in Hakone, Japan. At some point shortly after the Black Moon landed on Earth, an angel came in contact with Lilith and initiated the first impact, i.e. the first meeting of a progenitor entity with a different fruit. This triggered the sphere of Longinus as the only functioning sphere to place Adam and its progeny in a state of suspended animation to maintain separation of a progenitor entity and a different fruit. With Adam and the angels inert, Lilith started to create progeny that spread throughout Earth and developed into humans. Humans discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls, specifically a group of humans born Sele, which began as an esoteric religious order and society during the Dark Ages that eventually became the world's latent governing body during the 20th mid-century, and Sele acquired the scrolls, altered them, and released a doctored version of them while retaining the original. It is unclear how long Sele had the Dead Sea Scrolls in their possession, but at the latest, discovered them before 1946. The Dead Sea Scrolls were created by the Far and contain an implementation plan regarding the use of the Seed of Life, Adam, and the Spear of Longinus. Using this knowledge, Sele funded the Katsuragi investigation team to locate Adam, with operations commencing in 2000 at the latest. Dr. Katsuragi, Misato Katsuragi's father, headed the team. The team discovered the White Moon at the South Pole with Adam inside it, bound by the Spear of Longinus. The team removed the Spear of Longinus, experimented on the dormant Adam, and attempted to fuse human DNA with its core that houses an S2 engine. During this experimentation, Adam awakened, thereby initiating the second impact, i.e. the second meeting of a progenitor entity with a different fruit. Upon reanimation, Adam realized two different seeds landed on the same planet and moved to maintain separation. Without both spears at its disposal, Adam began to deploy an anti-AT field and categorically alter Earth's ecosystem to remove all non-atom-based life forms as a brute force method to maintain separation of seeds and reset Earth to exclusively support only atom-based life forms. The Katsuragi investigation team attempted to reseal Adam using the Spear of Longinus but failed. However, during the second impact, Adam's S2 engine went into overdrive, perhaps from its interaction with human DNA, causing its self-destruction, and the resultant explosion destroyed Antarctica, killed billions of people, and drastically altered Earth's existing environmental systems. Tokyo 1 was destroyed in the aftermath of the second impact, and Tokyo 2 was rebuilt in the location of pre-impact Matsumoto City in Nagano Prefecture. After the second impact, Adam's physical form was reduced to an embryonic state, and its soul was separated. Sele later recovered Adam's soul and engineered it to reside within the being called Kowaru. Sele fabricated and promulgated the narrative that a meteorite struck the South Pole and caused the destruction wrought by the second impact to conceal the true origins of the disaster. Spurred on by the discovery of Adam, Sele moved quickly to achieve its goals of divinity and developed Project E, which aimed to make copies of Adam called Evas, and the Human Instrumentality Project. Sele created Garen to execute Project E and the Human Instrumentality Project. Garen in German is brain. Gendo Ikari, Yui Ikari, Kozo Fuyutsuki, Kyoko Zeppelin Soryu, Asuka's mother, and Ritsuko Akagi were originally Garen members. Garen was eventually reorganized to become Nerve. The Human Instrumentality Project's goal is to integrate an S2 engine within a human. However, humans lack the capability to integrate an S2 engine. Only powerful beings such as Adam and angels can harness S2 engines. Therefore, a medium was needed to facilitate the integration of an S2 engine with a human within tolerable bounds. Nerve developed Evas for this end. Evas are organic beings created using material either from Adam or Lilith and are outfitted with mechanical components to enable a degree of human control. Unit 0 and Unit 2 were created using material from Adam, while Unit 1 was created using material from Lilith. Evas take their namesake from Eve, who in the Bible was created from one of Adam's ribs. As derivatives of Adam or Lilith, Evas possess similar attributes such as the ability to manifest AT fields powerful enough to manipulate physical space, angel-like strength, and regenerative properties. Evas in their original form lack souls and cannot act independently, but are designed to be vessels to house souls that have abandoned human form, and an S2 engine, facilitating the fusion of both. Early model Evas lacked S2 engines and must be powered via electric cable or internal battery that allows 5 minutes of operation, but still possess the capability to harness S2 engines. For this reason, an Eva is considered a body of a god. Each Eva possesses a core fashioned after an angel's core that acts as a bridge between the Eva and a human soul. Early model Evas allowed a human pilot to enter this core in a mechanical pod called an entry plug that is also filled with LCL. LCL will be explored later. Once inside, the pilot must achieve a sufficient synchronization ratio with the Eva to be able to pilot it. The core inside early Eva models cannot facilitate the merging of an Eva with a human soul, but requires another soul to act as a mediator. In Eva Unit 1, Yui Ikari's soul resides within the core, allowing Shinji Ikari as her son to merge with Eva Unit 1 and pilot it. During initial experimentation on Eva Unit 1's core, Yui Ikari made contact with the core herself, which resulted in her body's disappearance and merged her soul with Eva Unit 1's core. A similar result occurred when Kyoko Soryu made contact with Unit 2's core, but Kyoko retained her body after contact and only part of her soul, the maternal aspect, merged with Eva Unit 2's core. Efforts were made to extract Yui and Kyoko's souls from the Eva's core, but were unsuccessful. Because Yui and Kyoko's souls reside within Eva Unit 1 and 2 respectively, Shinji and Asuka can act as pilots. Before the merger, Eva Unit 1 could not move without a pilot, but afterwards exhibited independent behavior in instances to protect Shinji from physical harm when he was both inside and outside the Eva. Eva Unit 2 has not shown the same degree of independent behavior as Unit 1 has, but this may be because only part of Kyoko's soul resides in Unit 2, as opposed to the whole of Yui's soul residing in Unit 1. Eva Unit 0 differs from Unit 1 and Unit 2 and does not have a soul within its core. Eva Unit 0's pilot is Rei, who does not have a mother, but is a clone of Yui Ikari and houses Lilith's soul. Many clones of Rei exist, but Lilith's soul only resides in one clone at a time. At some point, Sully discovered Lilith in the Black Moon in the Hakone region. The Geofront was built on top of the Black Moon, serves as NERV's headquarters, and sits below Tokyo 3. Tokyo 3, or the Third New Tokyo, is approximately 100 kilometers southwest of pre-impact Tokyo 1, and was to replace Tokyo 2 as the capital of Japan. Lilith resides in what is called Terminal Dogma and is pinned on a cross. Selle performed experiments on Lilith to further understand the composition of a progenitor entity and its soul. After the second impact, Selle concluded that the human soul would need to be transferred into a different form to be able to merge with the Fruit of Life and accomplish the reverse with Lilith by removing its soul and transferring it to human form, just as Adam's soul was transferred to Kaworu. However, it is unknown which was accomplished first. As an aside, Rei and Kaworu can exhibit AT fields as powerful as angel AT fields and are composed of the same particle wave matter as angels are. It is unclear how Rei can pilot Unit 0 without the aid of another human soul, but it seems fitting that Rei, bearing Lilith's soul, can independently pilot a replica progenitor entity body, albeit one based upon Adam instead of itself. It is clear, though, that Unit 0 is not as powerful as either a fully functioning Unit 1 or Unit 2, and is more sensitive to Rei's psychological state. Rei was able to cross-synchronize with Unit 1, but could not do so by the time Zerial attacked NERV, which may be because Yui's soul rejected Rei, who was acting under Gendo's orders, after witnessing how Gendo treated Shinji during Bardiel's attack. Selle's experimentation on Lilith also brought about the production of LCL. Selle removed Lilith's legs, which caused Lilith to discharge LCL from its resultant wounds. LCL is Lilith's blood and origin of life on Earth. NERV utilizes LCL within entry plugs to facilitate a pilot's synchronization with an Eva. The removal of Lilith's legs may have split Lilith's soul, because when Rei returned to Lilith during the third impact, Lilith's legs fully reformed, which seems consistent with the fact that Adam's soul was split from itself after severe disembodiment. However, Rei may not contain the whole of Lilith's soul because Lilith still retains its form after Rei houses its soul, and Lilith seemingly greets Rei upon her return. The same does not seem so with Kaworu, who seems to hold the whole of Adam's soul, as evidenced by Adam's embryonic state and Kaworu's awareness of his identity, versus Rei's struggle to understand her own identity. Further experimentation on Adam, Lilith, and the Evas by Selle and NERV led to the development of the dummy plug system. The dummy plug system is a method to control an Eva without a pilot by substituting a pilot's input by artificial means. The NERV dummy plug system is limited and utilizes Rei's personal data. The Cele dummy plug system is more sophisticated and utilizes Kaworu's personal data. Cele has in fact been developing EVAs on its own, culminating in EVA models with functioning S2 engines, likely created from angel remains, that are effectively controllable using the Kaworu-based dummy plug system. Cele's EVAs are called mass-produced EVAs and are also equipped with Spear of Longinus replicas. 12 mass-produced EVAs were planned, but only 9 were completed before Cele moved forward with their version of the Human Instrumentality Project, in a race against time with Gendo and his version of the project. Cele has 12 members, and each member was intended to have their own MP EVA at the start of the third impact. Evangelion begins with the first angel attack on Tokyo 3, which marks the escalation of both Cele and Gendo's efforts to advance their respective versions of the Human Instrumentality Project. With the Spear of Longinus removed from Adam, the remaining angels emerge from stasis and move to reach Lilith, located in Terminal Dogma under Tokyo 3, to trigger their own version of the Human Instrumentality Project. With Adam disposed of, the Spear of Longinus seemingly ineffective against Lilith, and the Spear of Cassius missing, the angels perhaps sought to contact Lilith to reverse its propagation process by having it deploy an anti-AT field to revert non-atom-based life forms back to its primordial form, gather all souls within itself in the Black Moon, and move to another planet not containing a seed with atom-based life forms to leave the angels to populate Earth. An angel making contact with Lilith is in fact a prerequisite in all 3 versions of the Human Instrumentality Project. Cele planned to have Kaworu, bearing Adam's soul, become the last angel to make contact with Lilith and trigger the third impact so that Lilith would deploy an anti-AT field to gather all human souls within itself in the Black Moon, but Cele's souls would instead be funneled into the MP EVAs equipped with S2 engines, thus achieving Cele's immortality. For Cele, the third impact acts as the final step to transfer their souls from human forms into the MP EVAs via Lilith's parallel efforts to use an anti-AT field to revert all human life back to its primordial form for recolonization purposes. It seems Kaworu, under his own volition, does not seek Lilith to trigger the third impact, so Cele gave Kaworu the false pretense that Adam was located in Terminal Dogma instead of Lilith, and expected to use Kaworu's desires to perhaps reacquire his original form to have him contact Lilith and trigger the third impact. This seems like a severe underestimation by Cele of Kaworu's ability to recognize his own form, and unsurprisingly, Kaworu does not follow Cele's direction to contact Lilith. Perhaps more surprising is Kaworu's preference for Shinji over Cele and his own life, which he sacrifices to allow Shinji and humankind to live, perhaps foreseeing and ordaining Shinji to direct the outcome of the third impact that allows the continued existence of human individuality. With the last angel destroyed, Cele sought to use EVA Unit 1 to facilitate the third impact in tandem with Lilith. It seems an MP EVA controlled with the Kaworu dummy plug system cannot substitute an angel to trigger the third impact with Lilith because perhaps MP EVAs lack souls. Also, it seems after Unit 1 consumed an S2 engine, Unit 1 achieved a pseudo-Adam/Lilith form, but was not immediately awakened, perhaps due to Yui's soul not being fully integrated. It seems Unit 1 fully awoke after Asuka's death, perhaps due to Shinji's deepened resolve to pilot the EVA after witnessing many of his associates die, which may have also subliminally dictated the terms of the third impact. When fully awakened, Unit 1 proceeded to deploy the same anti-AT field that Adam had when awakened, but the Spear of Longinus returned to halt Unit 1, perhaps sensing a potential cataclysmic event. The spear stopped short of completely immobilizing Unit 1, perhaps because Unit 1 contained both the Fruit of Life and the Fruit of Knowledge and approached the same status as the Far. The MP EVAs further subdued Unit 1 with their replica Spears of Longinus and began to form the Tree of Life with Unit 1 at its center, due to Unit 1 possessing both fruits and perhaps the capability to create souls. The MP EVAs then unleashed their S2 engines to deploy an anti-AT field of their own to dispose of Shinji and eliminate a major variable in Cele's version of the third impact. After the Tree of Life is formed, the Black Moon is unearthed and returned to its original form. Lilith then emerged from Terminal Dogma, moved towards Unit 1, and the MP EVAs began to merge with Lilith. The events up to this point seem to be within Cele's version of the Human Instrumentality Project. There does not seem to be a clear explanation for these events, but it seems Selly is moving to reverse the process of creating life in order to extract their souls from their human forms and move them into the MP Evas after such have merged with Lilith and disposed of the Spear of Longinus in the process. It is unclear whether Selly's version anticipated Lilith's soul returning to it, but likely did not anticipate Lilith to contain elements of Adam by the time the third impact began. After the Black Moon is unearthed, Gendo moved to supersede Selly's version of the Human Instrumentality Project by having Rei absorb the embryonic Adam, reunite with Lilith, and trigger the third impact on his terms. It seems Gendo's version of the Human Instrumentality Project entails Lilith creating an anti-AT field to revert life back to its primordial form, thereby releasing all souls to be gathered into itself in the Black Moon. However, Gendo seems to believe he will be able to direct Rei, and therefore Lilith, to take him to Unit 1 to be reunited with Yui, and also be excluded from this gathering. In the PlayStation 2 game Neon Genesis Evangelion 2, Gendo's good ending shows him reunited with Yui, who has Shinji resting his head on her lap on a beach with normal water under seemingly pre-third impact conditions. It is unclear whether this is the reality Gendo envisioned, if he returned to Yui in Unit 1 with Lilith's assistance, but Yui sought immortality just as Gendo had prior to her assimilation into Eva Unit 1. Regardless, Gendo assumed Rei would heed his direction to complete his version of the third impact and relied on it. It is the author's impression, though, that Ono never contemplated a scenario where either the angels, Selly, or Gendo would achieve their versions of the third impact, but that Shinji would always be the one to decide the outcome of the third impact. What Selly and Gendo did not anticipate was the level of autonomy Rei and therefore Lilith would exhibit that in turn derails both of their versions of the third impact in favor of allowing Shinji to dictate the terms of the third impact. Throughout the series, Rei is seen grappling with their own identity and existence, unlike Kaworu, perhaps due to the fractured nature of her soul and her origins stemming from Yui Ikari. She continuously questions her purpose for existence while seemingly understanding her expendable nature. It seems each time Lilith's soul is transferred from one clone to another, residual memories or impressions of the previous clones endure. This being so, Rei in her third iteration recalls the positive memories and impressions she has of Shinji, while also resenting her purpose for existence being solely for Gendo's benefit. Rei wishes not to be used, just as all the women in Gendo's life have felt after being manipulated by him. This culminated in her choice to save Shinji over Gendo on the eve of the third impact. After Gendo inserted embryonic Adam into Rei, Rei chose to heed Shinji's call over fulfilling Gendo's wishes and merged with Lilith. At that point, Rei/Lilith with Atomic Elements essentially held all the cards over how the third impact would play out. Rei/Lilith intervened before the MP Evas could complete their anti-AT fields and saved Shinji. The Spear of Longinus then merged with Unit 1 and completed Unit 1's transformation into the Tree of Life. Shinji, in the beginning of the third impact, felt betrayed by those close to him and wished for everyone's death, including his own. Rei/Lilith attempted to persuade him to continue living, but seemingly heeded his wish for life to end and proceeded to fulfill the third impact. Rei/Lilith deployed her anti-AT field to release all souls and open the doors of Gulf to gather them into herself and the Black Moon. During the gathering, Selly seems to mistakenly believe their version of the third impact was still ongoing and accepted their soul's release, revealing mechanical components within their bodies. Gendo, on his deathbed, acknowledged his failure and abandonment by others as retribution for his fear of rejection, which led him to choose to never fully form bonds with others, hence their abandonment. It is the author's impression that Gendo serves as Evangelion's true antagonist and antithesis of Shinji. Rei/Lilith directed the MP Evas to self-destruct, and integrated Shinji within the Tree of Life into herself to complete the third impact. At this point, Shinji realized the extent of his choice to end life and become as one with everyone else in exchange with Rei. Although there is no pain from fear, rejection, or betrayal by others in this state, Shinji feels living with separation is still worthwhile and accepts its accompanying discomforts. Shinji accepts a life with separation because it allows the perspective of self-awareness that even the accompanying discomforts serve to emphasize. It is the author's impression that the main theme of Evangelion is Shinji's choice to accept reality with separation and to accept a life with pain despite its discomfort because life would be emptier otherwise, and in Kaji's words, pain helps people become more kind. On February 17, 2007, Studio Kara placed movie posters in theaters all over Japan that stated an intent to create 4 new Evangelion films as a retelling of the series. The posters stated several goals, such as another attempt to reach a new generation of middle to high school aged young men with the movies and a movement away from emerging anime trends. It is the author's impression that Evangelion as a message about accepting reality and the importance of forming bonds was ironically being lost in the otaku community, where anime is used as a substitute to escape reality. Anno himself is a self-proclaimed otaku and created Evangelion after experiencing 4 years of depression when his work stagnated during his early career. He was able to manage his depression, and the author feels Evangelion is Anno's message to encourage others to do the same if they are feeling disheartened. That being said, Evangelion 1.0 You Are Not Alone opens with a shot of a Red Sea lapping the shore. The Rebuild series seems to be a retelling of Evangelion after the events of the third impact have occurred in the end of Evangelion. The original cast returns for the Rebuild series with some variation, but seemingly does not recall the events of the preceding Evangelion timeline, with a possible exception of Koaru. Anno also added a new pilot to further differentiate the Rebuild series, Mari Makinami Illustrious. Mari's origin is not explained as of the release of Evangelion 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 films, but in the manga Neon Genesis Evangelion, Mari is a classmate of Yui Ikari during her university days and has not seemed to have aged since then. However, the manga explanation is not considered definitive, as stated by the character designer for the original Evangelion series and Rebuild movies, Yoshiyuki Sadamoto. Any further explanation of the Rebuild series before the release of Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time would likely be considered speculative. There are many unanswered questions remaining at the end of Evangelion 3.0 that may be wrapped up in 3.0 plus 1.0 and perhaps will be explored in a later video. However, some key takeaways are that Koaru cannot be trusted. Taken to its logical conclusion, Misato would fight for the free will of mankind, and once again, Gendo is the true antagonist of the Evangelion Rebuild films. On December 24, 2020, Studio Kara released the 4th trailer for Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time, headlined by Utada Hikaru singing One Last Kiss, the new accompanying single for the film, and this trailer has me hyped to watch the last film of the Rebuild series. So I decided to make this video to get caught up, and I hope you enjoy watching Evangelion, whether you are new to the series or have kept up with it from the beginning. Ciao!